Hello again. I glanced briefly last night at the new drama on Channel 5 about Anne Boleyn. Not only is she shown to be black, so are a lot of the rest of the cast as well. This really does give the thing a weird and disconcertingly modern feel. But there, the idea of the Black Tudors has now taken such a strong hold on the popular imagination that perhaps this is accepted as being the correct view about England's past. In the newspaper yesterday was shown this piece headed The Forgotten Stories of the Black Tudors. It was written by a woman whose book, The Black Tudors, The Untold Story, has just been published. Inevitably, the article is illustrated with the famous picture of the Black Trumpeter, John Blank. She says, and I quote, "I am always exasperated by the uproar when a new historical drama comes out with a cast that isn't solely white. A black nobleman in Georgian England, a British Asian actor as David Copperfield. Producers are accused of pandering to the woke agenda, but the hot air says a lot about how little we understand our own history." Well, that's telling us. She's very vague, though, about the whole business. I've read the article in detail. It's not very informative. She soon goes off at a tangent to talk about Africans in Britain, saying, "There are centuries-old trade networks and archaeological evidence of Africans in this country. Carthaginian coins have been found in Cornwall, African skeletons in medieval Ipswich. The Beachy Head Lady is thought to be the first known person of sub-Saharan origin in Britain and lived about 250 AD. Well, that's all absolute nonsense. I've dealt with the subject before at length. Beachy Head Lady was not a sub-Saharan African. There's no reason at all to think that. She grew up in England. There's no evidence, apart from the shape of her skull. But then if you really think that you can classify races by the cephalic index and the shape of the skull, you're probably about 200 years out of date scientifically. There's no Carthaginian coins have ever been found in Cornwall. That's sheer invention. The whole article is full of rubbish like that and does not really tell us anything new or interesting. It's not only in period dramas like Anne Boleyn that an increasing number of black people are being shoehorned in. It happens with things set in modern Britain too. Keswick in the Lake District is probably one of the whitest towns in England. 99% or so of the inhabitants are white, according to the last census. Tiny number of Asians, handful of black people, that's about it. When ITV made a thriller set there, though, a series called Innocent, or Innocent 2, I should say, there was a previous series, it was inconceivable that they should show Keswick as the white place that it really is. Instead, they turned it into a version of Inner London, as far as ethnicity was concerned. The first episode opened with a jury deliberating. The forewoman of the jury was black, of course. Other members were Indian, Chinese, and there was a young Jamaican. When the woman who had been acquitted left the court, she went to stay with a female friend who, perhaps inevitably, was married to a black man. Her own husband had remarried an Indian woman who happened to be chair of governors at the local school. The school was an important location for the plot, and so, of course, the head there had to be a black woman. As the police investigate what might have been a miscarriage of justice, it was seen that half of the police officers were also black or Asian. In one scene, white people were outnumbered 3 to 4 by people of colour. In Keswick, for goodness sake. I'm sure that viewers of this channel will have noticed this phenomenon, both on television and also at the cinema. It is almost as though once Europeans invented things like cinema films and television and started filling them with images of their own citizens in the countries where those industries arose, others became envious, and although they had no part in the creation of the movie industry or television studios, felt aggrieved that they were not being represented in the productions. So it was that post-colonial guilt for things like slavery on the part of white people, combined with the sense of being cheated out of something by those who came from former colonies, resulted in the kind of plays which I've been talking about. What is really funny is that in real life you'll often hear people complaining about this and making tutting noises at the sight of Black Anne Boleyn. But this discontent is never reflected in the newspapers or on television itself. Reviews in newspapers may speak of a groundbreaking production, but they will never ask what on earth is going on. There is a tacit and unspoken agreement that to criticise or even speak plainly about this foolishness is tactless and even worse, likely to be interpreted as racism.